G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm XQ. Today I'm joined by Badges and the fill-in man. I don't know what to call you. Drazzen? Yeah, but apparently Space is sick. He's feeling unwell, yeah? So you're filling in for Space today.
So Space Texan, Space Tomato Light. I don't know. You choose.
Space Tomato. Space Tomato. The one with the smooth voice. The one that Perseus. Anyway. All right. So obviously, Anvil Day, big thing today will be the Medical Pisces. Kind of surprised by the price myself, and actually only $6 more than the regular one, which I think it kind of surprised me. Yeah, but we'll go through that, and we'll kick it over to the browser then. And I'm on the wrong thing. Of course, I'm on the wrong thing. All right, let's talk about the ships first, and then we'll get onto the Pisces. So, the Arrow, real meta one, to be honest with you. So, how do you guys find the Arrow yourselves? Let's go first.
Yeah, I think the Arrow is one of those things that it sits very comfortably in that niche of light fighters that are exceptionally capable. And I think if you replace the ballistics, that it does even better because you've got much more time out on target. But yeah, I like the Arrow. I had the Arrow for quite some time until I wanted to go and get myself a bigger, chunkier fighter. Yeah. So yeah.
Kind of surprisingly how small it is actually when you folded the wings. It was something me and Algor were really. It's like smaller than a Mustang. But yeah, Drazzen, what about you? How do you find it?
I'm right there. I mean, light fighter meta, prevails so far. So it's, one of the best, if not the best, light fighter out there. I love it. I love the style of it flying both in atmosphere and up in space. Really enjoyable ship. I mean, if anybody's looking at wasting their money on a light fighter, you couldn't go wrong with the Arrow for sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. It's an earning game for me, and I think it's the entry point into fighters in the game. So yeah, if you're into combat, yeah, 100%. But for me, it's an earning game. Right, vehicles, same thing again. This thing's kind of had a bit of a resurgence with Jump Point, but like at $140, that's more expensive than a Freelancer, if I'm not mistaken, which is crazy. Or a concept price of a Vulture, which I find that kind of ridiculous. How do you guys find the Ballista? A train, besides a train wreck, how do you?
It's got that niche thing. I think it's some orgs are going to really kind of invest heavy in this. I think the ones that want to do that kind of combined arms, ground air, sit at jump down, shoot people sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but yes, I think for the average user, it's a lot of money for what it is. I think it's going to be something like you said. It's earning game. But yeah, the other thing I find quite limiting about it is how few vehicles can carry it around.
Well, we're getting one more now with the $600. So yeah. You can travel in style now in your Ballista.
The Ballista is actually super overpowered. Speaking from a combined arms standpoint, Space Tomatoes org, the org I'm in, we actually did an event where we had some Ballistas. And I mean, this thing can sink a C2 in like 2 shots. And that's not hard to get off. It is really overpowered, but definitely a earning game thing. But for what you're using it for, it excels, absolutely. It's great.
I was there at an event as well with Space Tomato and yourself, and it was great until everyone ran out of ammo, and I was the only one in a Centurion, and you all buggered off, and I got slaughtered. That was
yep.
Hate you all. Right, the Carrick. I think this is a hard ship not to recommend. It is the darling of so many people. My only concern now with the ship, if I was to look at it from a devil's advocate perspective, is too many people own it. So your thoughts on the Carrick, Drazzen? I'll let you go first.
No, I think you make a great point. I think a lot of people own the Carrick. A lot of people like to compare other ships as the Carrick killer. I think it's kind of in the sights of a lot of people out there, and that kind of adds to the mystery of the ship or the uniqueness of owning it. I know Space Tomato owns one and he's enjoyed it a lot, but since a lot of people are having it, I think it definitely brings down the value, since your odds of running into somebody who has one that you can use with them greatly increase with the popularity of this ship. So it's cool, but I don't think it's amazing.
Badges, your thoughts on the Carrick?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some functionality still to come. We've got the drones, we've got the modules, and that sort of stuff, and obviously the scanning and the actual exploration gameplay that justifies the ship in the first place.
We've got the closing cab thing. That's what this was meant to mean. If you can't understand English, Badges, what's wrong with you? The thing that comes across the window. No, don't look at me like that. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a great ship. I think some people's problems with it is that it is a Mary Sue. It does everything. You have an internal hangar, you have an internal bay. It's got the med bed. It's got the long range. It's got all that stuff. And in a universe where CIG are constantly telling us that we're going to have choices, real choices to make, the Carrick is an easy one.
Yeah, I think the thing that a lot of people miss, though, is it's because this thing is meant to be out on its own. So far away, it does need to have a little bit of everything. But I think its weakness, well, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think its weakness is clearly weaponry. It's not meant to be around other things fighting, and I think its other stats point to that as well. But yeah. All right, great ship. Really hard to fault, so I'm really trying to grab at straws to find anything wrong with it, but you get what I mean. The Centurion. I was kind of a little bit taken by this because, like, unlike the Ballista, obviously, it doesn't run out of ammo. So yeah.
Yeah. Take a hammerhead turret, strap it to the back of an Atlas, and call it a day. It's a significant bit of kit, and like you said, I think the strength of this is that you can put it down and leave it for as long as it has fuel. It has the ability to put out shots and put out damage.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great little vehicle. I think it excels more against the fighters for screening against them as the Ballistas for more larger ships. I mean, it's excellent. But it definitely does has its downside, same as the Ballista with the ships that can carry it. And, are you really going to be fighting that many light to medium fighters to justify bringing it out?
Does have a bit of a range problem, I found, with the fighters. It just doesn't quite shoot far enough. And again, at that price, like, that's a buccaneer or more expensive than a Cutlass, which is just crazy to me. So yeah, the Crucible was on the roadmap. Highly, highly recommended by Algrid and myself again and again and again. I just think this is a really hard ship to pass on. And if you own a capital ship, like a really big one, and it breaks down, you're going to be reliant on someone else with one of these to get you out of there. So for me, it's almost an essential thing to have. Like, I'm talking Idris or a Kraken. If you have something, or a Javelin, if you have something big like that, you probably worth your while to have one of these just in case something goes wrong. It's definitely going to grow in size. I'm trying to think of all the things Algrid would say if he was here. So yeah, for me, it's definitely it's a really good buy for me. But yeah, your thoughts, Drazzen?
Yeah, well, I'm curious. How does this repair the larger ships? Because I'm kind of uneducated on this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this really big thing in the middle is called a scarab, right? And this actually drops out. And what you might see just here, see how there's actually an arm? So see how there's little arms in here repairing this? This arm here then comes out, and we actually have screenshots of it actually like a Retaliator or a Constellation, it going around them like that. And then also it can rotate it and spin its arms around all these things, so it can actually get up real close to javelins and things like that as well. So, and you can use multiples of them to repair it at the same time. So if you think of like how a Vulture's stripping the paint off, repairing can be a little bit opposite of that. So, and it looks like unlike most repair ships that, if you look at the repair tool at the moment, it just kind of fixes the hole, but it doesn't paint it or anything like that. This can do all that. It can fix the hole, but it also may be able to print the understructure as well. This is just speculation at the moment, but it's highly likely that's how it's going to work. If you think about how they're talking about munching the hole, obviously somehow you're going to be able to rebuild it. So it makes,
interesting.
It makes logical sense. Your thoughts there, Badgers?
Yeah, repair obviously going to be a key part of it, and there are going to be a lot of ships and a lot of operations that people are going to do that where going back to a base is either ill-advised or just impossible, without basically ending whatever it is you're doing. Something like the Crucible, I think, is underrated for where it sits in how much you pay for it. But yeah, clearly, it's going to be crucial to have this sort of stuff going. And it'll be interesting to see as well whether or not they do other things with the Scarab. So whether it is able to carry components for larger ships. We know capitals are going to have to dock effectively to have it switched out.
So you mean use it like a little bit like a cargo bay. It does actually have quite a bit of cargo in it too in the actual main part, but I get what you mean.
Almost like the arms come in, remove the components, and or maybe are able to reattach weapons to turrets and stuff that's been removed that way. That would be really cool.
So one of the interesting things a lot of people don't know is you can actually detach the Scarab and it'll work for a time on its own. So you could actually repair a small ship and a bigger ship at the same time, which is really interesting. I'm just interested to see how that turns out. And it's one of the few ships that can actually repair itself. It can repair its own engines and stuff. It can. And it's also, I'm trying to think of the other ship. I think the Raft has it as well, but it's actually got shifting. It can change its center of mass. And also when you drop the Scarab out, it actually has a tractor beam, which is obviously used to pick the Scarab back up. But what we've always wondered, because the SRV's a thing, is can you use it to tow vehicles back to places as well? Which would make it, this thing's like an SRV repair thing. It's like everything in one. It's crazy. So yeah, that's why we recommend it so much. So yeah. All right, the Hornet. Badgers, give me your thoughts on the Hornet.
Yeah, I love the Hornet as a concept. All three of them, the Hornet, Hornet Ghost, Hornet Tracker. I absolutely love them as a concept. Civilianized military aircraft. I don't think it's in a great place the way it handles its health pool. So I wouldn't come into this and expect the immediate performance increase you'd see over a light fighter, or you would want to see over a light fighter. It's clearly wanting a rework. That's going to come because they need to be able to let us put SU boxes inside it and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a while. Great looking ship, great concept. It's just going to be a while before it performs as it should do.
Your thoughts?
I agree. I agree. I mean, it's same as Badgers. It really, if you're going for a Hornet, it's the Super Hornet, which I know we'll talk about here shortly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Hornet kind of needs armor in game to shine. I think we'll see a lot of fight, and it's the same with a lot of fighters, even other ships, not just fighters, that we need armor. All right. This is a skinned version. I don't really recommend it. The one that's really popular is the Heartseeker that comes around Valentine's Day. So yeah, I think we can skip this one because it's pretty much just a skin and some extra guns. The Super Hornet. So Drazzen, you mentioned this, so you can go nuts.
Yeah, I mean, if you, again, it's kind of light fighter meta right now. We don't really have armor in game, so it's really hard to justify a medium fighter. But if you do really like the look of the Super Hornet, you want something that in the future is going to technically be a step above a light fighter while sacrificing some of that maneuverability. This is a phenomenal ship. I ran this ship for about a year straight, doing plenty of combat missions. I really enjoyed having this. It's great to be able to throw a second person in, but not necessarily needing it. It's super powerful. I really enjoyed it. The only gripe I have is about that tail section. I swear it got shot off almost every single mission I went on, and it annoyed me. I hate those little bits that can get shot off a ship that can definitely have that chance of impacting its, maneuverability and flight dynamics. So I hated that.
Yeah, hopefully they fix that all. I do like what you said there about the not needing the second person, so it does give it that flexibility to go play with someone else, a new player or something like that. Yeah, Badgers.
Yeah, I can't really add anything to what Drazzen's already put in. It's like I say, the variants of this make it good fun, and just having that versatility to change it out. The reason I think that's going to become important in the future is because if you can fit a Hornet, then you can fit a lot of utility.
Yep.
You can fit something that's stealth, something that's got a lot of punch, something that's able to act as an early warning ship. Any of those variants will be useful.
It's got a lot of archaic things about it too. Like they had this special mount for it, just so it could have like 2 guns on it and stuff. Like it was just some really weird things that are a lot of layover. I'm hoping they go back and fix. Like it's got a special ball turret that no one else seems to have, and just it's got a lot of legacy about it. This is like really the Hornet was the first, but this is the one that really took over and the one that a lot of people brought. And I know it's a lot of people. This is the only ship they own. So yeah. All right, the tracker. So this is kind of like a command and control type of variant. What would you say about that one? This is more your area of expertise, I think. But,
you're effectively talking. Hopefully everyone's seen Maverick recently, Top Gun Maverick, where you have effectively what looked like a P3 or some sort of airborne early warning aircraft up. That's telling them that the Gen 5 fighters are coming in and all this other stuff. That's exactly what the tracker would be doing. Kind of coordinating its fighters, acting as early warning, or being part of like a slightly more long-range arm of Hornets that enable it to kind of identify and therefore kind of choose the right moment to attack a target. From a military perspective, there's a lot of utility to this. And the other thing is and immediately when you see a group of Hornets and they're breaking around you, it's not going to be immediately apparent which one the tracker is if it's in the dogfight with you. So it's not like you can just go, oh, look, a terrapin, I'm going to disable their long-range surveillance. Because it's like, well, which of these 5 Hornets is it in the middle of a dogfight? And you're scanning, trying to find the right target. And all the time you're doing that, you're not fighting. So it's a nice concept.
Yeah, and unlike some of the others that can actually fight too, so the Terrapin, I guess, is more of a defensive thing. This can still kind of be a bit aggressive if it has to be. So yeah. Jason, you want to add anything to that, or do you want to talk about the Ghost? Because I do think these are very similar. I don't know. Do you want to put them together, or do you think they're separate enough?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they're both kind of like niche ships, You've got the tracker for, the AWACS or SWACS, and then you've got the, the Ghost for stealth, super stealth. Again, I think these are very neat ships. They're very unique, but maybe too niche and not really worth the cost that they incur. Yeah. I mean, it's buying games for me and just never something I've been interested in. So I don't really have too much to add.
Yeah, I think they kind of legacy ships, like we said, they're kind of holdovers. I'd almost wish that they would say, right, we're making 2 new ships for the Ghost and the Tracker, and basically everyone that owned the old ones get an upgrade to these for free. Because I think these were from a period where the game was not as big as it was going to be. And is there anything you want to add about the Ghost badges, or are you happy just to move on?
I think it's just so many unknowns with the stealth side of things that there's not much more to add without going into rampant speculation.
Yep, true. All right, the Gladiator. Visually, this is one of my favorite looking fighters. Just the way the landing gear works, and it feels very old school. I've done it with Arrowhead a few times, just the way this thing works. But it's just not in the best place because it needs the gold pass like most of the ships, the old ones need. But yeah, it's unique. I think the only other thing we've got is the Harbinger that kind of even remotely kind of is in that same ballpark. So yeah. Your thoughts, Badges?
Yeah, this for me is like the key military. You've got effectively a Hornet that's been changed and modified. They are very clearly related hulls. And that to me speaks very much of military, especially military aircraft. So yeah, that modularity and that ability to strike from carriers and stuff. Yeah, big thumbs up for me for the Gladiator. But like you said, what it should be conceptually and how we imagine it to be is not necessarily how it is in game at the minute. So be warned, this is not the I win button for PvP in Star Citizen.
Yeah. Drazzen?
No, I absolutely agree. It is a very unique, really interesting looking ship, but it's one that I've maybe been in once. I can't think of many of my friends who have this ship, and I think it's for very good reason. Definitely needs a pass on it. It's really it's unique, but I think any upsides I can think of pretty much in there. Just to see where the meta ends up landing will really determine if this is a viable bomber slash fighter or if it just kind of falls by the wayside.
Yeah, well, it's technically our smallest bomber, so yeah, I'm looking forward to see where it does land. The Hawk, really the smallest bounding ship I guess we have. Or well, actually, no, technically it'd be the Avenger, which we'll talk about in a minute too. No, it's Aegis, isn't it? My bad. I don't know. I love the look of this ship, but it just doesn't act the way it should for me. But what's your guys' thoughts?
I flew one for a while. I have one for a while. I've got one of my buybacks. Yeah, I really like it. It's really good fun to say to your mate that you're going to take them somewhere, have them jump in the bounty hunter pod, and then not let them out because there's no way out from the inside. You've got to be let out by someone else. So trolling level over 9,000.
We all now know Badger's true intentions. See, I told you he was a bad guy. No one believed me. Yeah.
But it's also a lot of fun. It's got an EMP built in, and it is so very, very Blade Runner. The idea that it folds up and like all of the shots of it and the conceptual images have it in cities and in very close confines. I think that just I really like the Hawk. I've got a soft spot, and it will be one of the ships when I get in game I will be earning to keep as a permanent addition to my fleet.
Yeah, they did really pitch it as a ship that you could chase people with, like that are on foot. You chase them, so it's a bit different. But yeah, Drazzen?
Yeah, this is a beautiful ship. When I first backed the game years ago, to show my age, I guess, this was one of those ships where I saw it in videos, I saw it in game, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to get one of these. And of course, I did the silly thing and, bought it with real money and ended up melting it. So one of the causes of my store credit woes. But honestly, it's a beautiful ship. I just think it's a bit weak, I guess, as a light fighter. It's not much to be expected from it. It's got a lot of bits that can be kind of shot off. I really like it, though. It looks beautiful, and I wish it was better than it currently is. That's about all I can say.
One thing that does make it really unique is the EMP. So it's kind of like a cross between a fighter and a bit of an E-warfare ship. So it is very unique in that regard. It does give up a bit of weaponry to get the EMP, but that versatility can't be underestimated.
And I don't know if they fixed it, but when I was flying it, this might show how long I've had this thing. The EMP drew so much power from the power plant that you had to shut some weapons down.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So again, really good. But the fold out, the way it goes from this very compact, almost mess like ball of string to a very, very distinct silhouette is cool.
All right, so the Hurricane. I just want to say straight off the bat, this is just another weird thing about how the game works. In game, this thing is cheaper than the Hawk. Yet out of the game, it's $95 more. So, but it is very meta. In the all year, it's been really up there. It's very fun to fly, but for me, it's 100% in the game. It's only just over it's under 1.3 mil. I can't remember the exact price off of my head at the moment right now. But yeah, real fun to fly. It's got that whole 2-seat thing you were mentioning about the Hornet, Drazzen. So for you, is it similar to the Super Hornet in that regard?
I would say it's kind of a Super Hornet on steroids. Again, this is, a heavy fighter. That top turret that we're looking at, it puts out a lot of DPS. This is a very awesome ship. I've never flown it, but I've always sat in the gun, and it has been a joy every time I've been in it, especially more in the modern times. Before, it used to be not great, but now it's even better, and I really enjoy it. It's definitely a fun ship to be in.
Yeah. Just to add to that before we hear from Badgers, it's also very similar to the Scorpius, but cheaper and smaller. And I think because of that, it's just harder to shoot. So yeah, for me, I prefer this over the Scorpius. But yeah, Badgers, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I mean, like you and I took one of these out during Xenothreat.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was, I think this is very much related to the fact that I just upgraded my graphics card at the same time.
Mhm.
But oh my God, the amount of fun, just, coordinating, and this is great, right? Minimum amount of friends required.
Yep.
Get both of your backsides in one of these. Your pilot, you were armed with distortions.
Yeah.
You were taking down the shields, and the minute the shields were dropping and down, I would open up in the turret. Good, nice little bit of coordination, nice and easy to do. And you really do feel like $1 million flying it when you're pulling off kills and, zipping around stuff at the Xenothreat. So yeah, give it a go. If there's only two of it, if it's you and a buddy that plays, you owe it to yourselves to get into a 2-player ship like this and go kill some stuff.
I guess that's where I probably could recommend it with what kind of Drazzen said before. If you do have a Super Hornet and you're finding that a bit dated and you want to go a bit of an upgrade, you could do that. But you got to remember the Super Hornet's kind of a hybrid. It's halfway between a light and a heavy, which is what those mediums are. So by going to the heavy, you're going to be more vulnerable to certain other things. So yeah, the Legionnaire, we've kind of not seen this in game yet, so I find this a hard one to kind of recommend because we haven't seen how boarding's going to work. I know we've got soft def now, so this does kind of elevate that, and it came in at a price point that I was really surprised by. So for me, it's something that I'll probably look at. It's definitely an in-game purchase, but I'm definitely going to kind of pick one up credit-wise just to look at, do a review on it, and then probably melts. But you guys give me your thoughts. So Drazzen, your thoughts on the Legionnaire?
Yeah, I don't have too many thoughts. As a dedicated boarding vessel, it doesn't really interest me much. That side of the gameplay isn't something that's intrigued me at all. I can't think of many people that I've interacted with that this ship, for instance, doesn't come up in conversation quite a bit. So I think it's just something we either A, need more information on, or B, just need to see it come out in game. Again, very niche kind of ship. It looks very neat, and I'm interested to see how it performs. Maybe I'll even get boarded by it in game, which would be unique. But not really something that I've been keeping my eyes on much. So
actually, I'm going to show my age here a little bit. There was a ship way back in the day in the Next Great Starship that a guy did solo, where he had it so the whole ship on one side had a shield, so it could do barrages and fly around. And it reminds me of this ship because this ship has that whole forward-facing shield thing going to the point there doesn't even visually look like there's a cockpit. It almost looks like the pilot will fly almost a little bit like how the Prowler flies and the Talon with a camera type of thing. So yeah. Anyway, badges. Anything to add or?
Yeah, I'm a fan of the Legionnaire. I think for its cost, you can fit an awful lot of people on it. You got 2 crew and 10 in the boarding party. That's a lot of people to get on a $120 ship.
Makes the steel look very shit, doesn't it?
I mean, the steel does that all by itself, but yeah, absolutely. I'm still a fan of the steel. I'm sorry, I hate it. But this thing, I mean, I really hope there was one of the images, and it's only one, and it's concept art, so do not quote me, but I'm going to go a little bit mental. One of the images makes it look like there is a slot on the front of this thing where that big green shield above it might actually slide into place over the cockpit to defend it, to basically protect the glass while it's connected, which would make sense and live up to the name of Legionnaire. So I don't think it's going to happen, but I also want it to. That would be great. Please, CRG Gib. I've had a good idea. It goes in game now. This is how it works, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea that it hacks, and it's clearly not designed to do this stealthily. This is going to be a damaged ship that's still fighting. Still obviously got people alive on it, and you're sending boarders in. There are going to be some orgs who I would imagine own a fair few of these, and have some very interesting plans for them as well.
While we're on it, you can tell us about your favorite shipping ship.
Please stop calling it a light carrier. It's not a light carrier. It's a shipping ship. It moves stuff from A to B. It's basically a removals wagon for spaceships. That's what it is.
It's basically like a carrier. If I said I'm a fork, this is a fork. I'm a fork carrier because it only carries 2 forks, and that's it.
Yes.
It's incredibly light. It's LITE, not LIGH.
It's so light they couldn't even afford the letters to spell out the full word.
Yes.
No, I look. It's great for what it does. And I like, especially Pyro, when you start getting stuff on ground, we start getting colonies not linked to Pyro. I realized that I said that, it might be confusing, but to move ships around, so the distance issue in Pyro, to move stuff to your outpost, this is going to be really useful. All it isn't something designed to provide sustained flight ops, which is the definition of carrier.
I haven't actually told you about this, but I did have an idea for this that I'm just going to throw out there that will never happen. But you know how sometimes you go to places and they have like a vending machine and the food moves around like on a conveyor belt or whatever? I had that, but for this ship. So imagine if it had 4 slots for the ships, but they rotated like on a almost like on a cycle. So then you could have had 4 ships on it, or 4 vehicles, and they rotated. But yeah, and so you could just drive. You could fly off the top, or you could drive off, and if they rotate, because that way it makes it more flexible. So it's 4 vehicles or 4 ships, but they didn't do that. They kind of went another way. Drazzen, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a shipping ship. I think it's going to be excellent at that role. Also it may be carrying some SCU would be really unique to see as well. But again, it's another one of those very niche ships. This one is a very expensive, very niche ship, which kind of both falls out of the purview of what I would be interested in. I think for folks who are interested in that gameplay of, hey, I have a ship that crashed or is down or is somewhere and it needs to go somewhere else, there's a lot of money to be made in that. Or somebody wants to move their whole fleet at one time and you can just transport, 2 or 3 of their ships at one time. I see a lot of really unique gameplay out of that. I don't know how often it's going to happen, though. So something I'm definitely looking forward to see how it's utilized in game once it eventually comes out, of course.
Definitely some big Star Wars vibes with this one as well. So I got a quick question, just as a weird turn of phrase. Do you think the Galaxy will be cheaper or more expensive than this? If you had to guess. Just a guess.
Cheaper.
Cheaper, I would say cheaper, not by much. We're talking 2550. I would say above 500, at or above 500.
Interesting. Okay. All right, the Spartan. For me, this is probably the weakest of the 3. What do they call it? Atlas platform things. But I do think we will eventually get some more variants of this, like a medical one or a command and control or something like that, and that'll definitely elevate this for me. But again, it's a vehicle, so for me, it's a pass. Badges.
Yeah, important. I mean, if you look at Jump Town and stuff, the ability to get in close and not be detected on a ground vehicle versus getting close and not be detected in a ship, these things are really, really useful. But they are, as you say, they're niche. But for the orgs that want to do a lot of stuff on ground, avoid the turrets, still come in blazing, still have the protection to get where they need to go, Spartan's your vehicle.
All right. What about you, Drazzen?
No, I think this is a really unique vehicle. In fact, I was during an operation we were doing in Tomatoes, Oregon. Tomatoes now here and listening. We were actually trying to utilize this as part of a QRF vehicle to carry essentially a team we had, and don't know if we got around to it, but it's definitely in those plans. So I think it's a great vehicle to use in that kind of way to get a bunch of troops, through some heavy fire or kind of under the radar and to a objective or a site that you're trying to take. It's a really unique vehicle. Again, another kind of earning game thing. It's also limited as the others are with the ships that can carry it. Those are not small ships. So it's a very unique vehicle. I would say hands down, probably my favorite out of all of the, Atlas platform vehicles, just because of it being more of that APC kind of role. So
the Terrapin. This reminds me of the little train that could, the choo choo. I think I can. Yeah, that's where I see this ship. I really want it to do more. I've heard a lot of people talk about a variant for it. In lore there was a dropship variant, stuff like that. So I love the look of it, and I think the reason why this thing got priced so high was just how people embraced the look of it, the whole turtle thing. And I don't know, we need that exploration stuff, kind of like what you talked about with the Carrick before, Badges. So yeah, is it the same for you with this in regards to that?
Yeah, I mean, echo what you say about it needing variants. I mean, it's perfectly positioned for stuff like that. You've got the hatch on the side, so if you want a medical variant, you can still get like kind of anti-gravity stretchers up there. You can do all sorts of stuff with this. But I like it as long range, and I think fleets are going to need, combat fleets are going to need a couple of these to go out, pave the way, sit on the back of an asteroid, shut down, just like the video shows, everything but their scanner, and just sit there and listen, make sure that the fleet's not walking itself into an ambush. Everything that good reconnaissance does. And I think this being dedicated is going to put it head and shoulders above other options of its kind. So, if you put this against the tracker, for example, this is going to blow the tracker out of the water with regards to what it can detect, how quickly it can figure out what things are,
especially
that sort of stuff.
Especially with the two mounts, so it can track, it can scan two different things and stuff like that. You just gave me an idea. That's why I went like a clown at the sideshow. A bounty hunting variant would be really interesting for this. I don't know how well it would go stopping people, but like almost like the Cutlass Blue, so it can lock things down with one of the utility mounts, but then also have an EMP. So it's like a dual bounty hunting one. So because at the moment there's no EMP and QED in the same ship. Not that I'm aware of. Maybe I put my foot in my mouth, but that could be really cool. Because then it makes it harder to take it down too, because it's super defensive. I don't know. I could be wrong.
That makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of I feel like there's space that could be utilized within inside of it. So I don't think variants are out of the question. In fact, I'd love to see some. But medical would probably be one of my favorites that I'd like to see from the ship for sure.
Do you think there's room for another medical after today?
I don't know. We'll give it a year.
Bounty hunting, though, I reckon that would work really, really well. So an EMP on one mount and QED on the other, and then it's really hard to take down because it's super defensive. Yeah, that makes so much sense to me. All right, the Valkyrie. For me, a really good dropship for what it does, and one of the things I've known with talking with you and SA Badges is that every dropship in this game is really good at what it does, as they all cater to exactly what it is. For me, this is 4 Cyclones, 20 guys. That just makes the most sense. Chuck them all in, deploy out like a little group of guys to go out and do what they do. You tell me.
Look, you've got the hoplite that does its special forces insertion very much like the Redeemer will, in terms of you put them in and then you are there on station, close air support. Done. The Prowler is going to be very good for the sneaky, try to get close to ships, that sort of stuff. The Valkyrie is landing an entire element with vehicle support, able to do its own thing. The Valkyrie is landing in force. And it's worth its weight in gold for that.
In the current game, it is a bit weak. We used this in our last operation, and it honestly, it suffered. It can't take sustained fire for any extent of time. I think that's definitely one of the downsides of this ship. It's very expensive. Again, very niche. I used to use this ship to haul around my rock in, but I mean, the amount of rock runs I would need to do to make the ship worth it is a lot. It's just super expensive. $375. I mean,
$25 more, and you're at a reclaimer.
Yeah, exactly. And you're at so much, more useful ships if you're going to spend real money. For me, it's an earning game long term only if I can see myself needing a drop ship. Outside of that, I don't know. It's hard. It's a beautiful looking ship and it performs its role very well, but it's definitely one of those high end drop ship kind of ships. So
I think you've kind of rounded it up there with almost all drop ships. Like all drop ships are kind of a little bit niche there. So yeah, they're all learning games for me personally. But yeah. All right, that's it because we are back to the Arrow. So we have the upgrade I want to talk about today is a bit of a difficult one. We have the Super Hornet, but it would be perfectly placed if the Vulture was in the game because it looks like the Vulture is going to increase from 140 to 160, and that's exactly where this needs to be. So it's just a really awkward buy. You're almost better off to buy the Vulture with credit and just wait for it to go up $20 because it's the same thing as this. But if you are impatient and don't want to wait, you could also do this as well. But there's no point. So yeah, this is a bit of a nonchalant for me, CCU. I think I'll leave it there. But yeah. All right. The C8R Pisces. Just kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on this real quick. I will be doing a buyer's guide very shortly on this after I've had a chance to go in game and actually fly it around. I think it may or may not. The breaking point for me is which one of it is going to be better to do bunkers with at the moment. And Badges, you were saying that you still think with the internal cargo, it'll probably be quite good. You're muted, bud.
Bizarre. Don't know I did that. Yeah, so you've got still the internal inventory, which is key for being able to store your weapons and stuff that you're looting, your armor and all that sort of stuff. You've also got the rule of if it fits, it sits.
Yeah.
But that ability to get rid of those niggling tier 3 injuries, and it's got missiles and it's got guns. All right, they're itsy bitsy missiles, but they're still missiles. Yeah, I think I found my new daily driver.
That is big.
It's going to be this thing.
Big
yeah. When I go do my bunker stuff, all of that, this is going to be it.
I'm never going to look at the term "Hello Nurse" the same way again. Right, Drazzen, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think this is, for those people who like to be over-prepared and doing bunker missions and, like to have a medical ship either bringing it in or on standby. I think this is going to be phenomenal for those folks. I know people like that who've griped for the longest about the Cutlass Red just being very large and unwieldy and, it having its own kind of complaints where now you have a little pocket medic ship essentially. So it's really neat. I like the look of it. I like how the internals look, they've arranged everything. And I think it opens the possibility for, as I was saying earlier before the episode started, of, this being able to supplement ships that can fit something of this size in it, but may only have limited medical resources or no medical resources on it. Yeah. So I see a lot of capability with that.
So something like a Polaris or a Carrick or an Odyssey or something of that nature. Yeah. Or even even landing on a Kraken to transport someone that's injured to an Endeavor or something like that. They're going to need ships to transport people between for medical reasons. So yeah, I totally see that as well.
Absolutely.
Real quick opinion piece. What's your favorite skin? All 4 of them on the screen at once. That's the best I can do. So you got the blue one there. That's the one that comes with the concierge, and then the 3 across the top. So the default, and then the 2 left and right. Just your opinion, Badges. What's your favorite one?
It's got to be the blue or the white. I would happily rock either. I will shortly own both. Right.
What about you, Drazzen? Anyone that you prefer?
I like the white one, honestly. Kind of gives me some Carricky vibes with it. Looks nice and clean. I like that one the best.
I am also very tempted to get a meme contest going for this particular image right here. For the best meme. I'm pretty sure there's something there that someone could do about CIG and medical response. This one you could do a similar thing to, Argid brought too many ships. Oh shit, he's dying. Or I don't know. Well, you get what I mean. There's a whole bunch of memes there, but I'll have to think about it before we do that. And if I do, I'll chuck it up in the buyer's guide. But yeah. All right. Well, with that, then I thank you both for joining me. Is there anything you would like to hear from the people in the comments below, specifically about Anvil today, and I guess maybe a little bit about the Pisces as well, the medical one. Yep. Nope.
Yeah. Where do they think that this leaves the Cutty Red?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that as well. And interested in seeing if people are liking the offerings for Anvil. Seems to be one of the least exciting ones of the show so far. So curious to hear what folks think about that.
Yeah, you always have a little bit, a bit of flatness. And this one and the Aegis ones are hard ones to get through because they just have so much more ships. So this is easily the longest day we've done by a country mile. So yeah. All right then. With that, he's been Drazzen, he's been Badgers, I've been Execute. And we'll catch you in the next one.